Thank you all for joining us today to have this virtual discussion with the director of the best Christmas pageant ever, Dallas Jenkins. We're here to celebrate that the film is going to be released on Blu-ray and DVD on October 28th. Without further ado, we'll get started. But Dallas, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us all today.
Of course, and thanks so much for coming, each of you. I love talking about this movie and this story, and I especially love talking about it with moms because this is a movie that definitely celebrates moms, as very much so. So eager to chat.
Awesome. Well, our first question is going to come from Diane Sullivan with 3 Decades, 3 Kids. Diane?
It's Diane from 3 Decades, 3 Kids. We love the movie. I watched it alone, and then we watched it as a family. And I just wanted to know, what was the message that you would like families and moms to take away from this?
Well, hi there, Diane. So I think there's two things that are important to me about this film. One specific to moms, but the first one is the general story that I really loved about the book in something that was actually somewhat new for me, to realize that the Herdmans, who are considered the worst kids ever and who are living in poverty and are struggling and are on the on the outside looking in, that in many ways it's because of that they understand the heart of God in many ways even better than the rest of the characters who are in a more comfortable place. I think a lot of us who've heard this story so many times and who are in comfortable or even privileged situations can miss out on the true meaning of some of these stories and the story of the birth of Christ. And when Jesus came to earth, it was into poverty, it was into struggle, it was as an outsider. And the fact that the Herdmans understood that and were able to see the story in a clear way that the others who'd heard the story so many times couldn't is what makes the movie work, what makes the book work. And it really opens the eyes of a lot of the people who've heard the story so many times, but in many ways they're hearing it for the first time because the Herdmans are hearing it for the first time. And so that's something that I really want audiences to take away from, is that you sometimes are closer to the heart of God when you understand poverty. The other thing for moms, though, is this is in many ways a love letter to my mom, to my wife, to those moms who are sometimes unsung heroes who, doing a lot of the volunteering, a lot of the work that is challenging. And the mom in this story, I just really loved, and I love Judy Greer's performance, but that in many ways she's the hero of the story, and that she is able to see something in these kids that others aren't. And she's willing to work. She's willing to to surrender. She's willing to serve. And there's something unique about moms that I love, that I really wanted to showcase in this movie in a way that you don't often see in a lot of other movies. And so that's something that I think is a good takeaway, is a celebration of those moms who are doing a lot of the grunt work through local volunteering and in their own home.
It was beautifully made. Like the message was clear, and it like made me cry. It was nice. It was so touching, like in the heart. So
Wow.
thank you for this movie.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. No, when I first read the book 20 years ago, my wife brought it home. I was reading it to my kids. And in the last chapter, I was crying so hard I couldn't see the words on the page. And my wife's like, all right, let me read it. And then she starts crying. And then we would basically trade it back and forth to each other
Yeah.
while the other one recovered. And so I hope to capture that in the movie.
You did. You definitely did.
Well, thank you very
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
much.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, our next question is going to come from Francesca Garcia. Francesca, you're muted, sweetheart.
Hi, Dallas. How are you?
Good to talk to you.
Forgive my hat. It's a rainy day in LA, which we rarely get. So everyone's panicking, panic
Yes,
driving.
yes,
Lovely to see you again. We met for the first
yes,
time at the Four Seasons.
right.
It was like a party last year. Can you believe
Yes,
it's been like almost a year? And
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you bringing that lovely book. You said that it was like a really old best Christmas pageant ever. Is that the book you're referencing to that you and your wife read?
Yes, I actually had a copy of the actual book that I read. It's got all the dog ears and the pages are bent
Yeah.
and there's little stains on it. And it's also got my notes because as soon as I finished reading the book, I said, I have to make this movie. And I'm the only one who can make it. And it took 20 years for me to
And
finally get people to give me permission to do it.
oh, I'm so happy because my daughter is a young actress and 12 years old, and it's so I find myself, when we get script, like I have to read the whole thing
Right.
because, it's a lot of movies that are made these days are so not family friendly, and I'm trying to protect her, and I'm so happy that you made this sort of movies, and it's something that we can all watch together, and so it's such a breath of fresh air for me that, this is becoming so big now in this industry. And I, for one, is very happy to see it. And was part of your goal with the best Christmas pageant ever is to help bring back that kind of storytelling to family films?
Yes. And I think particularly Christmas family films as well. It used to be that every year a movie would come out in theaters that celebrated Christmas, celebrated family, that had all of the kind of the traditions of Christmas movies where there's humor and there's heart. And that doesn't really happen much anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, it seems like there's room for a new Christmas classic, at least one that I hope is a new Christmas classic. There's so many Christmas movies that come out every year now on Lifetime and Hallmark and Netflix. I mean, there's literally over 100 new ones every year, and they all start to feel a little bit the same. And it's been a while since there's been something that the whole family can appreciate, because sometimes there's a kids movie that parents are like, all right, I'll push play for my kids while I go do something else. Or there's something for the parents that the kids can't appreciate. And I'm like, I really want a Christmas movie that can become a tradition where every Christmas we pop it in, whether it's on DVD or Blu-ray or it's on streaming, that we can really enjoy together, and it becomes a tradition. And so that's what really was behind the heart of this movie for me. And that's what was so gratifying last year when it came out in theaters and did well in theaters. And now this year people are saying, I can't wait to watch it again, or I can't wait to make this a yearly tradition. That's definitely the heart of why I did it.
Yeah, and do you think Hollywood is starting to make more room for family-centric stories?
Well, I think so. I mean, I know that, look, I do a TV show called The Chosen. I did a movie
Yeah.
like Best Christmas Pageant Ever. There was a long time where I was hoping to have meetings with the people who worked for the people who are now coming to me and saying, we want more of this.
Yeah.
And so there's never been a time that I can remember that Hollywood has been more eager and willing to put up resources for stories of faith and family. My job is to, I can't worry about everyone else, but my job is to keep doing what I love, which is just telling stories that point people towards faith and are something that are uplifting and as opposed to depressing.
Yes, I think we all could use feel good movies these days.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Francesca. We appreciate that. Our next question is going to come from Ashley Sounders.
Hi, Dallas. Thanks for taking time to do this today.
Hey, Ashley.
So I have to say, Imogen Beatrice, she was my favorite character and actress in the whole film.
Yes.
She's such an important role, and she just did it. Oh my, I was just so impressed by her. I hadn't seen her in anything else, and I just really was drawn to her performance in this. Can you talk a little bit about finding, I guess, all the kids, but specifically her, and just because she is so pivotal to the film?
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to find kid actors who can not only be funny and childlike, but also can portray heart and emotion.
Mhm.
And this role is so essential because Imogene is not only the bully and the tough girl, and she kind of takes over every room that she's in, but then at the end of the movie, she's the heart of it. I mean, she's the key, and she's the centerpiece of the scene that moved so many people, including myself. So we saw hundreds of people. And when Beatrice came along in the audition, we were like, oh my goodness, this girl is amazing. And I'll never forget the moment when she portrayed the key scene in the film, the climax of the film. And try not to give too much away, but their tears are streaming down her face, and those are real. And I just realized that scene I so desperately wanted to get right, but it doesn't work if not for her. And yeah, we get more comments about her than anybody else. People are just like, I can't believe, where did you find that girl? I mean, all the kids are great, but that's the role that's super important. And yeah, I was very, very fortunate. It made my job a lot easier to have kids that are this good.
Agreed. Well, it was a great film. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your help
Thank you,
getting the word out
Ashley.
there.
Mhm.
Our next question is going to come from Robin Davis.
Hi, Dallas. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Of course.
So my family and I absolutely love this movie. We saw it twice in the theaters last year, actually. And I think it has become an instant classic for us. We're certainly planning to watch it again come this year. So I'd love to hear from you. How did you go about balancing the humor and the heart of the story?
Yeah, that's what drew me to the story, is that it's so witty and so charming and so fun and whimsical. And I love that. And I think that's a hallmark of Christmas films, is you want to laugh, you want to be entertained. When you can laugh as a family, there's something that's very intimate and bonding about that. At the same time, if this movie doesn't give you the heart, if it doesn't give you the meaning, if it doesn't tell the story in a way that impacts you, then it's just another quirky, fun family movie. And that's great. And there's a lot of people who do that. But for me, my heart is to say something meaningful about Christmas. And so for me, I actually believe that the emotions of sadness and humor and emotional impact are all at the surface. And I've always found that, some of the hardest laughs that we have are in times of emotion, and vice versa. And so for me, the tone was very important, because the tone of the book is great, and I really wanted to capture that in the movie. So what I did was, in the filming of it, yes, the framing of the shots, the performance of the actors, there's a slightly heightened reality, because this story is told through the eyes of a child's memory, right? So it's an adult telling the story, but she's looking back, similar to A Christmas Story, where it's an adult telling the story, but it's through the memory of childhood. And so a child's experience has a lot of that: humor, pathos, all of the above. And so from the beginning, I wanted this slightly heightened reality, because it's a memory, but it needs to feel real at the same time. And so, how I did that was through camera angles, and I wanted it to feel like a bunch of living paintings. Norman Rockwell was a big inspiration for this movie, and for the images and for the tone of it. It's funny, but it's also heartwarming. The performances of the actors were key for me. Judy Greer, Lauren Graham, Pete Holmes. These are all people who understand comedy, but also have great heart and really understand pathos and emotion as well. So I just really built a cast and a crew that understood that, and used a lot of inspiration from movies like It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story. Babe is another movie that I really took a lot from, where it's got humor, but also a lot of heart. And then again, the painting is Norman Rockwell. All of those kind of work together to find this tone that's not easy to find, but I think I had the right people to do it with me.
Well, I think you did a wonderful job conveying all of that, and we can't wait to watch it again.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Our next question is going to come from Liz Cannon. Liz, you're muted.
Rookie mistake. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here this morning. I'm so excited to get a chat with you. As everybody else has already shared, this movie was such a great film to watch together as a whole family. My husband and I might have laughed more than our kids when we saw it the first time, but it's one that they continue to want to watch, which is so great. We love watching it together. But I mean, my question is, the film performed so well. I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes score knocked it out of the park. That's really hard to do for a family film. As the film continues to become a Christmas classic that people watch year after year, What is your hope for its legacy? Like the main message, if you could pick like one takeaway you really want families to glean from this movie, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, you hope that when you make a movie like this, that adults can appreciate as well as kids. There's just enough for kids. There's also, like you said, some humor for adults that they're going to appreciate. So you hope that, let's just say 30 years from now, that families are still watching it together. As I said earlier, I don't want it to just be, we put this movie in, we push play, and we laugh together. There's got to be some meaning to it. And to me, the ultimate takeaway is when you can listen and allow the opportunity for people outside of your own tribe to maybe teach you something about these stories, including the Christmas story that you hadn't considered. There's something that can really be life-changing. We get into such a routine of our own, sometimes we call it an echo chamber, where you're experiencing stories, especially stories of faith, over and over and over again. You start to take them for granted. And then anyone else who's outside of your tribe, you see them as an other, and sometimes we see them as a threat. We see them as a threat to our way of life, a threat to our culture, a threat to our experience, a threat to our truth, where we go, well, I can't acknowledge anything that you have to say because then that might cause me to change my mind. And I don't expect the people in the story of The Best Christmas Pageant Ever to change their mind about the Christmas story, but to change their perspective can sometimes make the truth of the story even more impactful and meaningful. And so I know this is a long answer to your question, but I'm just hopeful that we say, wow, those people that we sometimes look at as other, sometimes they might have actually more perspective and more insight to the story that we take so seriously than even we have. And like I said earlier as well, it's through the eyes of children in poverty and through the eyes of children who struggle that actually brings them closer to the heart of God than even maybe we understand. And that's something that is easy to forget. And the herdmen who are, in poverty, who are struggling, and who have the childlike perspective, those are all things that Jesus talked about. He wanted you to have faith like a child. He came to this world into poverty and into struggle as an outsider. That's something that we can draw from, especially those of us who maybe are a little bit comfortable, a little bit privileged, and who've heard this story so many times, to not take that for granted.
That's super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really think that was delivered. Everything you said, I'm like, yep, I got that. Yep. So great job. Thank you so much.
Well, good. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Liz. Our next question is going to come from Naza Holiman. Naza?
Hi there.
Hey, Naza, and thanks for that backdrop. You came with a backdrop for the occasion. Very cool.
Thank you. So we actually just rewatched the movie last night, my whole family, and there was so much that we missed the first time around. And as a family, I mean, we had a blast. The kids thought the Herdmans were the funniest. And, my husband and I really loved the faith aspect of it. What I wanted to know is, were there any parts of the book that you couldn't include in the movie, or that were maybe unfilmable and you worked around it and were able to film it somehow, and how you solved that?
Well, I mean, I would say that anytime you're adapting a book, there's going to be some things that you can't fully convey because they're thoughts in people's heads. And you don't want the whole movie to just be narration. You don't want the whole movie to just be people speaking everything that they're thinking. I would say that, so there's lots of that. But I would say that the thing that was the most challenging for me was to capture the thing from the book that was brief, but that has so much meaning to it. Mm-hmm. And that's in the climactic scene. I don't want to give too much away, but there's this moment in the book where the herdman kids are playing the wise men, and they're walking down the aisle and they're bringing this ham. And you hadn't heard about this previously in the story. And the narrator says, I saw this ham, and everyone was kind of like going, what the heck is a ham doing at a Christmas pageant? And the narrator says, I knew where it came from. And she tells this very, very brief anecdote about her father and how they gave out hams to all these families each holiday season. And I thought, that is so moving. How do I portray the meaning of that in this movie when in the book it's this kind of short thing and you get it because you're in their thoughts. But in a movie, I have to show it. And so that became an opportunity to do a whole scene, a whole sequence that's probably 10 minutes long, illustrating where this ham came from. And whereas in the book, it was, maybe just probably took 30 seconds to read, but in the movie, it's a 10-minute sequence. And that became an opportunity to tell you something about the father character. I didn't want the father to just be this kind of doofy dad that you often see in some of these movies where he's just the guy on the sidelines and he's just cracking jokes. And I'm like, this is an opportunity to show a dad who's showing some leadership and showing some a servant's heart, and that he's got a role in this story as well, and maybe even something to teach the rest of his family, which I think wasn't really portrayed much in the book, but I think was an opportunity I really wanted to capture in the movie. Especially, when we're in a habit of seeing movies and shows where the family dynamic is a little bit unique and the dad is just this guy off to the side, kind of, as a goofball. So to me, that was an opportunity. So it's not that there was something in the book that I couldn't do. It was something in the book that I wanted to use as a springboard to say something even more impactful, and that allowed the scene in the book that was meaningful but hard to film became something that became an essential part of the movie and gave me an opportunity to make it even more meaningful.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you did that with the father character. My husband and I often say, why are dads always the goofballs that have nothing to do with anything? And they're just kind of in the background, bumbling around. So it was nice to see him kind of quietly lead the family and show them what's really going on.
Yeah,
And that ham
it.
scene going down the aisle, I was already sobbing by that point. So, so fantastic. You did such an amazing job with that.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and as I said earlier, as much as this movie is a love letter to moms, I didn't want to leave dads out of it either.
Thank you so much, Naza. Our last question of the day is going to come from Karen Fenderson. Karen? Oh, did we lose you? Karen, are you still with us? Oh, there you are. Karen, you're muted.
There we go. Hello, Dallas. This movie, first of all, is beautiful. And I love the fact that you're so heavy on family, because I'm heavy on the family part. And I think that, like Naza said, showing the dad in a positive light, I think oftentimes it's always just mom, always kind of in the forefront, not necessarily dad. So I thought that was beautiful how you did that. Now, are you a father? What made you really want to lean into that? You tired of people seeing you guys being the little fumble around in the background, or like what was your reasoning to make sure the dad was the highlight? I want to know.
Well, yes, I'm a dad myself. I have 4 kids. I've done a lot of work in kids ministry, special needs ministry. Look, I know, and I'm perfectly willing to acknowledge that my wife, well, my mom as well when I was growing up, but my wife has a huge influence on our family and on our home. She's a stay-at-home mom. She was a stay-at-home mom. My kids are now older. But at the end of the day, if you don't have, if there's not teamwork, if the parents aren't on the same page, there is oftentimes chaos in the home. And that's something that we wanted to showcase as a problem with the Herdman family. The Herdmans are the 6 kids who are quote unquote the worst kids in the history of the world. Well, why is that? And that's something that is easy for the characters in the movie to dismiss and to not really think about. What we were hoping for in this movie is to show that one of the reasons why they're struggling is something that maybe the kids won't pick up on. The kids at school, they just hate the Herdmans. They're just scared of them. They don't want to know anything. Hopefully the parents, and especially the parents watching this movie, are picking up on the notion that, oh, there's not a dad there. That's a problem. The mom isn't around much either. That's a problem too. The ultimate option for kids when they're being raised is a father and a mother in the home who are pouring into them and are showing a combination of leadership and nurturing, a combination of discipline and empathy. And kids need that. And I think as much as I'm trying to show the good parents in the movie, who at times have something to learn as well, I don't want everyone to be perfect, but you're also showing what happens when they're not around. that absentee parenting is can produce disaster as much as present parenting can produce goodness. And so there's a lot going on in this movie that in the format of a hopefully classic Christmas movie that has the humor and it's entertaining, but beneath the surface there's a lot being said that I think is important, and I hope that people can take that away from it.
Dallas, I just want to tell you that I'm so grateful that my kid's been doing acting a long time. And I'm just grateful that now when I heard you say, I literally text my kid's manager and said, I just heard Dallas Jenkins say that they're driving toward Hollywood, toward faith-based and good feeling type movies. Please make sure you know what these are, because that's the direction that I've always prayed for my kids. I've said no to a lot of auditions over their little years of life. But one thing I know for sure, when I hear you say something like that, it just warms my heart, because if it's not a time in our world that we don't need it, it's definitely today, where you bring these stories to life, where you show the value of family, where you show the kids who are having a tough time and what they need and how we can be an anchor for them, even the neighborhood or whatever it may be, the church. All those things matter, because that's the core principles of who we are as humanity. So great job. Keep it going. I can't wait to see what you do next, because we need it. Our world needs it. And kids who are into acting and people who love good storytelling, we need it. So please keep it going.
Well, thank you. And yeah, that's a lot of why I do what I do. Is many times it's to fill a gap. It's to respond to something that I'm not seeing enough of. And there's never been a time in Hollywood that in my lifetime, that there's been more interest from studios for content like this. And not just a quick plug, just for you, so you guys know, this Friday on Prime Video is launching The Chosen Adventures, which is our new animated series, 14 episodes, 11 minutes apiece, just launching on the channel all at once on Prime this Friday. And so you might know that I do a TV show called The Chosen. Well, this is the stories of Jesus in first century Galilee through the eyes of children. And it's all like the best Christmas pageant ever. Your kids might be the ones who push play, but you as adults are going to enjoy it as well. There's wit and charm and humor and all that, but also very, very important lessons about trusting your parents, about asking questions, about following the teachings of Jesus. And so it's yet another piece of content that we're bringing out that I think you're going to really, really appreciate as a mom.
No, thank you guys. And thank you all so much for taking the time. I think we can all agree that we have to champion this movie, spread the word about this movie, make sure everybody is watching it in their homes, because this movie does need to become an annual Christmas classic that everyone can sit down, whether you have kids that are older, kids that are younger, you have grandchildren. This is the true movie that everyone needs right now. And I think if we can all spread the word and remind everybody that they can watch it at home now, you can watch it on DVD, on Blu-ray, streaming, whatever you prefer, it is there at your fingertips. So thank you all again for taking the time. And Dallas, thank you so much for being with us today and giving us all this wonderful insight, and hope for a wonderful holiday season.
Yep. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.